Hey folks, and welcome to the Pipnotic Symposium for the 28th of April 2020. We're on the north coast of Bali, trying to preserve our sanity from this whole being stuck at home homeschooling, which I think my wife and I are finding it really challenging. I think everyone on the planet, or about a third of the planet's population, are finding themselves in the same boat. So a bit of a challenge, but that's why it's important, I think, to mix it up a little bit. So we're on the north coast. You can probably hear some chickens in the background and the sea coming down on the beach. It's beautiful up here. It's such a pretty place. We have a lovely um, wooden house about 50 strides from the beach, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And this morning we woke up at 6 o'clock and watched the sunrise. Very nice. It's very, very beautiful. It's a really nice time to contemplate about what's going on in this crazy world, and try to find some sanity in a very volatile world. But today we're going to have a look at a few different things. We're going to use the histogram to scan all currency pairs, which I think will be quite nice. There's also some additions to the histogram that I'd like to share with you today. So the software itself is being updated constantly, and so I'm having a difficult time kind of freezing it and being happy with a version that I'm keen on using. But one of the major updates is actually based on the currencies that it's watching. And if we have a look here, let me move this over, you'll notice now that we have Danish kroner, Norwegian kroner, and the Swedish kroner. Having spent the past 20 odd years in Denmark, we found ourselves exposed to these currencies. Of course, the Danish kroner mostly, but also the Swedish kroner and Norwegian kroner. And so this is just something I'd like to add to the chart. And this is nice because now we can have a look at the euro Danish cracks. It's a pretty uneventful pair. Let's have a look at the American dollar, Danish kroner, and here you can see Danish kroner, which is bright red. I've had to make some changes here in the colors. So the pound is crimson, because if you look at the British, like the British rose, it's of course it's a very bright red, but I had to reduce that to a slightly less intense color. So I reduced that to crimson, and I put the Danish kroner as red, because the Danish flag is red and white. Then we have the Swedish kroner, which is dodger blue, and we have the Norwegian kroner, which is white, because there's a whole lot of snow in Norway. Okay, so that's what it looks like. So here we can see the same information as we're seeing normally. And if we even look at, let's see, the British pound, Danish kroner, you'll see that we can see here we have the Danish kroner, and here we have the British pound here. And it's difficult to see the difference, so what I've done is I've actually increased the thickness of the line to 4, and this helps make this a little bit more clear. So you can certainly see that there's a difference in these two colors now. Okay, so now we have all of this stuff here. We have the euro, Norwegian kroner, the pound, Norwegian kroner, and this is really useful. I mean, look at the signals that we were getting to buy the euro relative to the Norwegian kroner. We started to see that all the way back here. And so, I mean, a lot has happened since the beginning this box opened. You can see that prices kind of gone parabolic. So that was a nice entry signal there a long time ago. This is the summer of last year. We're starting to see this. So very interesting developments. And now we're seeing that things are starting to revert to the mean. We've also kind of moved above these levels here, because considering this, I mean, we're quite flat, and also we have these massive spikes, and so we have extreme deviations from the currency strength mean, if you can call it that. Yeah, so I mean, this is just an addition of lots of currency pairs, so we added an extra, or for this particular platform, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pairs, which is nice. Okay, so that's what we have there. But if we have a look here, let's run through a bunch of these. Let me go like this. Good. Let's run through. Let's go back to the 4-hour chart and have a look what we're doing here. This is a Australian dollar, American dollar. So the mouse is on a kind of a wooden table where there's holes all over the place. So here, note that we had a very big spike lower, and now we're slowly moving back to an area of value. So kind of stored areas like market memory. Like this is kind of the mean, because here we had relatively efficient trading, and we had efficient trading. Then the inefficiency started from here. So I'm expecting price to react to this area up here. So we have a bit of time until price gets there, but we are slowly starting to get close to it. Okay, currently, we have the Australian dollar, which is kind of in the higher end, the positive end, and this has been so since around here, since about here. Then price has wriggled higher, and now we're slowly starting to move lower. We have these, we have this, we have the highs kind of up here. So we're starting to see stuff slowly slow down. Who knows, maybe we're going to move away from here. I would expect price to go, to here, because I like this area a little bit more, so I'm expecting price to go a little bit deeper. But who knows what will happen. Let's have a look at the American dollar Swiss franc. Before we do anything, let's go to the euro Swiss franc. We've been eyeballing this for a long time, haven't we? Looking for a place to buy at. And now, finally, we're seeing these little telltale signs that we've found a short to medium term bottom because of this nice push higher here. So if we go onto the 4-hour chart, we can see it pretty clearly. You can see that we had something in here. The price was tested once, twice, 3 times, and then this accumulated before, and then we cut through it. So if we go here, and now price is just kind of leaving in a real hurry. If we go to the smaller time frame, let's go to look at the hourly chart. We need to find a nice area that's interesting for us, and you can see these little areas just here. Okay, and so it all originated from, something isn't here. If you look here, you can see something here. Let's go to small time frames, go to the 15-minute chart. It'll probably jump out at us. Yeah, we can see we have something in here. It's not a too pretty one, but there is kind of a roof there, kind of price like winding up and building up pressure and then popping up. So there's something up here about the 1.0535 area. We do have this one here as well, which I really like. Our price went up, moved sideways, and we gapped down into this area. Then we moved higher, accumulated, and we popped up. And so, anywhere in this zone here, I think we're going to have an interest on price wriggling higher. We'll see what happens there. It's funny, isn't it, how these two just follow each other very closely. We go to the 4-hour chart. You can just see how they're pretty much in sync. And you can kind of, this is there's no carry whatsoever, but you can certainly see that. We have the Swiss franc, which is above with the line. It's very easy trading, And if we go, let's just zoom out even more, get more data. You're kind of getting the same thing, Here it's above, you just want to short, and there's no reason to get out of the trade. Here we had a bit of a bullish from the euro, then it kind of started to move sideways, and then we had lower highs and higher lows telling us that this is going to continue to move lower, and then price just keeps going, and it's going up and down. But notice that the Swiss franc is above the euro, which you can see here as well. You see the orange line is below the 0 line. That's telling us that if we take a simplified stated like an average of the differences in these currency strengths, it's negative. Okay, and so you can see very clearly that this pair is just wriggling lower as a result of that. Okay, that's very interesting. Okay, let's go back to the American dollar Swiss franc. Here we have, let's go to the bigger time frame first of all. We can see that we had this really strong push in the Swiss franc, and the American dollar really raced north Okay, and we managed to pop through the top of this Swiss franc line, and now these are kind of marrying nicely and kind of drifting lower together. We have a bit of volatility here, as you can see, but you can see that this is happening. The same thing is happening here in the price chart. And so this is kind of like setting up to do something. We can't really see what it's going to do. We've got a weekly chart and have a look. Yeah, I mean, if we have a look here, that's some lows. Yeah, we got some action down here, but price still has to go quite far. We've already been down there now, and so price would probably drift higher to the opposing side, which brings us to this level here, which has been tested a couple of times. You can see here at the pretty much the 1.0 area. Wow, 1.0, the American dollar Swiss franc. Funny. But we're getting close to that territory, and I think we should will potentially reach there here in the relative near future. Okay, let's have a look at the pound, American dollar. What's going on? So on the weekly chart, we're stabbing down, we're seeking liquidity, boom, having big pushes down, we're testing these lows here in the histogram, we're seeing rejection, and now price left, and we're moving sideways, accumulating, and then we don't really know what's going to happen next. But what we can see is that we do have a couple of price inefficiencies in need of rebalancing. We have this one, and we have this one. Okay, so price will likely return to something up here and something down here. Okay, because it has to do that in order to rebalance what's going on in the market. We have a lot of we do have plenty of room for price to come up here, and we have plenty of room for price to come down here, and this rebalancing is required in order for price to kind of revert to the mean and begin to train efficiently, and fairly a nice kind of median here before we can continue to find the next move either higher or lower. Yes, so I mean, not a lot to do there. This is kind of an ugly price movement, so you'd have to go down to the much smaller time frames to do anything. And if we do that, we can see that we have something here. Okay, we had a couple of tests here, 1, 2, and then this area here took it out. So we have something in here. Okay, so there's something with strength in this area here, so maybe price will poke into here, and then maybe, oops, move away, but we don't know. But we don't know yet. Keep an eye on the histogram and see what happens once price gets there. But ideally you want to see price move into it, have a deeper push, maybe see some divergence in the histogram at that level, and see what happens. But overall, I mean, if we look on this chart here, I mean, price is moving down, so we do have a negative bias. I've been waiting to price come up to these areas for a long time, and it hasn't. We've seen so much strength in the American dollar and a bit of weakness in the British pound that this has simply kept this pair moving low. And if you look here, you can see that we had some pretty negative pushes here to the British pound, pretty positive pushes here, and then we had a really strong American dollar because of all the stimulus, I think, in the US. It's kind of giving the illusion that there's hope around the corner for the American dollar, and so this will of course affect the value of the American dollar shorter term. Yes, so we'll have to see what happens, but I think longer term the American dollar is doomed, and there's a lot of uncertainty about the British pound still, but I think people are getting used to this uncertainty in relation to the British pound. I think 100 or 200 or 300 years from now it'll be a tradition for the Prime Minister of the UK to go to Brussels to ask for an extension. Who knows, but it's really dragging out, so who knows what will happen. But I like these areas up here. These are really far away for the time being. You consider here where the beginning of the sell zone is. We're getting the sell zones here, and so we need to get above that before I'd be looking to sell. And if we're looking to buy, we'll probably have to go, well, actually I don't even have anything below. Notice here as well, in this chart, it becomes very clear that we have enormous divergence, and this is weekly data, so that's pretty important stuff. So we'll have to see what happens. And the longer term chart lines up with what's going on with the US, how they're printing money. There's like a QE infinity, So the Fed has said that they're going to continue to print as much money as they can, just flooding everything with American dollars. I mean, that's not a really good idea. My opinion is that they let companies fail. They let companies who are over leveraged go bankrupt. This will reset the system. It'll hold people accountable for shitty decisions, and it'll let things restabilize at more realistic levels. Artificially propping up the American dollar, or any currency for that matter, is a really, really bad decision in my opinion. I think that the US is set up for, I mean, inflation, hyperinflation like we've never seen before, which will make the value of the American dollar go to nothing. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But the chart here is showing that, yeah, we're seeing a potential for the pound to move up, and that might line up nicely in relation to what's going on with the U.S. fiscal policy. So let's wait and see what happens there. Let's have a look at the American dollar, Japanese yen. Yeah, this is kind of range bound. You can see these indices they're braided nicely together. And so for the time being, this is just kind of stuck, and so I think we have some range bound trading going on in smaller time frames. I don't like the stuff when price goes, deviates from the mean, reverts to the mean, then kind of moves around. This is no trade time. But we did return to this area of demand. I didn't trade this one here. Price went up, slingshot was pulled back, it raced north, beginning of the buy zone. Price went right to that, and this is where it found support for the American dollar, Japanese yen. So interesting there. Let's have a look on small time frame. No, I mean, there's nothing to do. I wouldn't be comfortable doing anything for the timing. I'd wait and find something else. So we'll look at something else. What do we have? Let me zoom in a little, zoom out rather. So we have, I mean, they're all kind of the same, you know, these pairs. We have the American dollar just above the euro. And now we have extreme push higher in the American dollar, but also the euro. But the American dollar fared slightly better, which is why we had this massive rejection and a move to the downside. We do have the mean for this pair is moving lower. Okay, and this is what we're seeing on the price chart. We go to the weekly chart and see what's happening. Yeah, we have a pretty clear downtrend, and so currently we're challenging these lows. So potentially we could maybe challenge these lows and move lower, but we'll have to see what happens. I don't know, but you can see that we're negative on the price chart. Let's just start where we have the histogram. Negative on the price chart. We're kind of slightly less negative on the histogram, and so the power of the euro is slightly increasing relative to the American dollar. So that maybe this is going to tell us that we're going to do something like this. Who knows? We don't know. So we have something going on there. Maybe we can find some areas of demand on the smaller time frames. Yeah, we could see something. Also, you can see the divergence here and here. Okay, and so we could certainly, this is a nice area here, like a small poke into an area of demand, then a retracement, a rally away from it. And we had this continuation pattern that formed, price came up, sideways up, tested the child. So we do have maybe something occurring kind of in this area here. Okay, so the beginning of the buy zone is maybe around here, this little bar just here. Okay, so if price comes down here, maybe have a bit of a bounce. We have to look on the smaller time frame because there's a lot of trading in this area, so we want to find the cheapest one possible. Oh, I like this one here. This is lovely. So I'd be keen on this one here. Something in here, and I wouldn't touch anything in here. There's nothing there, but this is nice. This is a 1.0767. That's a nice area, and that shows incredible strength just there. So that's a nice area. I'm gonna put an alert there, so I'm informed once price gets close to that area. Good. Let's go to the American dollar, Canadian dollar. Okay, here's a theory for you. I mean, how cheap is oil today? It's really cheap. You actually have to pay somebody money to take your oil, which affects the Canadian dollar a lot. And so I think it would be actually a really good time to begin to get involved with the Canadian dollar. Not currently yet, but I think soon, because as people start to open up for the lockdowns, oil is going to begin to be sold again to people who need it, because people need to drive again to get back to work. And so I think that the Canadian dollar is probably going to see a bit of increase in strength as a result of the lockdown slowly being undone. So I think moving into Canadian dollars soonish might be interesting. And you can see we have an American dollar spike up towards these highs here. Now we're moving sideways. Who knows what's going to happen? But I mean, we're really reaching some pretty high levels. Not as high as these. These are incredible, but this is actually a monthly, area of supply up here. So we had the beginning of the sell zone, which was here. Price poked into it, and now we're leaving, and we've poked into this, and now so I think it's a good time for price to maybe rebalance this price inefficiency, which would bring us back down to this area here. So it might be pretty interesting, might be a little bit too early, maybe another run for the highs and then a push lower, we'll see. But currently we do have this nice area of supply here, so if you have some dollars and price moves up to here, maybe in your TransferWise account, maybe it would be interesting to acquire some Canadian dollars. That would also line up with maybe some of the lockdowns being undone, which would be good for the Canadian dollar, which would bring this pair lower. Let's have a look at the last visit to this area. Let's find out where that lines up. I just got to mark off the high. I can't see. So where are we? This is where we were. So we moved up to this high. This is that monthly sell zone. We poked into it, and then we had a massive decline. And then you can see that price is just moving between, buy zones. We had the buy zone here. We had the other one just here. Price comes down. We haven't been below this one since. Price moved higher. Now price is just wriggling higher, and we're really moving north. You can see we have the yellow line here, which is above. We could probably take that line and fatten it up a little bit. Mean line, let's put that on 4 as well. Okay, then we can see it a little bit better. Just here. Okay, so we do have a bullish bias for this pair, but this is based on the differences in the strengths of these two currencies. But I think if we manage to push higher, I think it'd be a really nice time to accumulate some Canadian dollars. Okay. Aussie Japanese Yen. Yeah, look at all these big pushes low. I mean, look at all these pairs because of this Kroner rubbish. Massive push north. Ooh, we have a nice area down here. This is kind of leaving the base. Very interesting. On the Euro Yen, what do we have? You just see like a lot of pushes down. You can see we had a really strong push in the Japanese yen. The Japanese yen is actually reaching some pretty low levels. Sorry, some very high levels. So I'm expecting this to eventually begin to move higher. So we'll see how that goes. We have a look at the Euro CAD. We have a pretty similar thing going on as we saw on the American dollar, where we had that huge push higher. This is simply a result of the weak oil prices, which will bring down the Canadian dollar, which has caused this. Okay, but we leave in its wake some pretty interesting price levels. We don't know if the oil market is going to recover before price returns back to these nice areas here, but we do have a lovely area of demand here. We have one here, and we have some buy zones down here as well. And we have this child demand just here as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But price is currently kind of just forming this little, kind of taking a breather after this big push higher. So we'll see. So there's a lot going on. Let's have a look here. Let's see if we can do some runs on the scanner. I don't know if we're going to get anything for 2.0. Let's have a look. Nothing. There's no runs there. Let's have a look on slightly smaller levels, 1.8. Again, we're not doing this, we don't want to force this, we just want to see if there's anything setting up. Just running through all the pairs. This is including all the Scandies as well. So we got the Aussie Kiwi. This is the Aussie Kiwi. I said that like with my best German accent. Aussie Kiwi. Let's have a look at the Aussie Kiwi. We've looked at this pair quite a lot. So we're moving very high. Okay, so let's have a look in the daily chart. Yeah, I mean, I'd be looking to sell, but I'd wait for price to come up here. We have the child, we have the parent. The software is showing us where it is. This would be a really nice area to get involved there. And if we had some milk, an increase in milk prices at this stage here, it'd be pretty nice as well, supporting the kiwi. But we'll see. So this is, this is really nice. We're having a really nice push higher. This is a nice inefficient move, and we have, price potential when we have this push here. If we get up there, the base is down here, so that'd be a very nice possibility to rebalance all the way back down to release point, which is somewhere down here. So very interesting indeed. Good. Well, I'm going to leave it at that for today. The internet in this house is really bad, so hopefully I'll be able to get this video uploaded. Otherwise, I'll get it as soon as I possibly can. But until then, happy trading and be careful. Thanks for watching.